Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Gaming Game Reviews. And in this episode, we're going to review Lost Judgement. Lost Judgement is a game developed by RGG Studios and published by Sega. It released on September 24th, 2021. And it is the sequel to the 2018 game Judgment, which is a spin-off of the Yakuza series. So very reminiscent of the Yakuza games, but you plays a private detective, Yagami, as he investigates a criminal accused of both sexual harassment and murder. So lots of mystery, lots of detectiveness. But yeah, so we're just going to go this around and see what everybody thinks. This did come out on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, and Series X and S. And it's a single-player action-adventure game. But so we'll go around and see what everybody thought of this one. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and start with our resident Yakuza specialist, Russ. Russ, what did you think of Lost Judgment?
Oh, and this is another version of that's coming out of the studios. Obviously, I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to these studios. And as of late, since of Like a Dragon, I've come back and I've revisited a lot of these games. This game is much. I mean, it's Yakuza Like a Dragon with a different story, except for the fact that it is not turn-based, which is really not that bad. Kung Fu up in this. I'm just like, I am loving it. I actually do enjoy it. The game is pretty much like any game you can look at. It's going to have mini games. It's going to have side missions. It's again, so much to do in a game like this. You can't really, some may find it boring because it's not the same kind of game that you played with Yakuza, but it is a lot of fun. I find it fun. I actually like the sneak around, some of that stuff. So far, I've gotten through about 5 chapters. I probably played a little bit more of this than most of the guys just because I get really into it. I tried not to lose myself on the mini games. They have arcades in there. One of my favorite, and I'll try to leave some for some other guys to talk about. One of my favorite mini games right now is the VR stuff. It's kind of fun actually, and it's a good way to earn some money. Whereas in Yakuza, you were kind of doing what it was Ichiban Confessions or convections, the business there. This is kind of like it's kind of like the same thing. This is where you make the money. It's got crafting in it. It's got exploration. Sometimes the exploration is a little bit difficult because it's kind of wanting to linear get you to a certain point, but it will open up and it will allow you to do more to it. Just be patient with that. First impressions, it's a gorgeous game. Soundtrack sounds familiar. Sound sounds familiar, of course but it is just a good looking game. And I'm going to try not to take all the time to start. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Patrick and see what he thinks.
I spent entirely too much time running around the streets going, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. And why the hell won't you let me in Ichiban Holdings? I want in there to make some money, but they wouldn't let me in the door. A lot of the characters that, as Russ had mentioned, especially when you're in Jincho, you're like, I remember running around here. Let me go check out my old homeless camp I used to live in, So I spent a lot of time doing that. The game, exactly what Russ says, the game plays very much a lot like Yakuza Like a Dragon, except for the combat. The combat's pretty much just you. And then, you can get, sometimes you're running around with some people from your detective agency that can help you out, the fight and combat. But the combat's pretty much mostly just you alone, beating the crap out of people with kung fu, different form. I like being able to swap the stances. That's probably one of my favorite things. It's like, oh, there's a big group of guys with bats and guns and knives and crap. Let's swap over to something different here. You want to do snake style or tiger or crane. And there's a whole bunch of others and special abilities. So yeah, it's got a lot of the same things in it. I find myself getting lost in the mini games more than anything. I spent, I don't know how much time playing the baseball batting cages or going out to the golfing one and trying to get the golf thing down. And then, I found out that I still don't like the dancing in the game. So, so I don't like dancing in this game. Overall, I have a favorable opinion of it as my initial response. Shane, what is your initial reaction response to this game?
Love it. Absolutely love it. It's the main story is a little more on the darker side, a little more on the murder mystery than it is, just a bunch of, craziness going on. And I love that. I also love the fact that all the craziness and goofy shit from the Yakuza series is still in there. So, I mean, you can go from dark to light, really quick in this game. I love it. The graphics were stunning, absolutely stunning. The facial, the faces in there were just so amazingly done. The eyes were fantastic on every character, even some of these sub characters you just kind of run into generically. But just thoroughly impressed with the graphics. So absolutely. Voice acting English. I didn't play Japanese, so I know Nick probably did because I'm surprised. I didn't play Japanese. Normally I would, but I just didn't want to have to read anymore or read any more than I have to, because you do got to do quite a bit of reading in these things. So but the voice acting is not bad. You'll find, if you're an anime fan, you're going to find a lot of those happy, familiar voices again. So that's great. The overall game is fantastic, just like the last, Yakuza game I played. I did borrow Judgment from Nick. I haven't had much time to play it from the original one back on PS4. And it was graphically gorgeous as well. So I wish I'd had more time to play it, but this one is fantastic. So far, I cannot complain. And just like Pat, I spent way too much time in the arcade, just way too much, trying to get every stuffed animal to decorate my place, trying to get, the high score on Super Hang On and crap or GT. It's just a great game overall. I mean, it really is. The story right at the beginning, man, really just grabbed me, and I've been going with it and I love it. So, before I continue on, Nick, Mr. Happy Boy, what do you think?
Yeah, this game is great. I really like it. I never was a fan of the original Yakuza series. I liked them. I just didn't like the combat. And Judgment was, and I knew Judgment was a spinoff, and for some reason Judgment just grabbed my attention, the very first one. So I was excited to play this one. Because I knew if it was going to be like Judgment, and just better, which it is, then it was going to be good, right? And it is good. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I think Russ, you got a little bit further than I did. I think I was close to the end of chapter 4, or maybe the start of chapter 5. I can't remember around that's where I've left off. But I did spend like a whole hour or so in the arcades. They have that zombie arcade game that you can play. That's like, kind of like House of the Dead, but it's not. So I was playing that, and that's a lot of fun. And then some of the other arcades, Fighting Vipers, and they had this motorcycle one. It wasn't Hang On or anything like that. It was like one that was not, I don't think ever released here in the US. I can't remember what it was.
It was like the Road Rage, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're punching and kicking them and
that game was
all
pretty
that.
cool. I was like, wow, this game's cool.
That was the first one I played.
Yeah, I was like, man, this game's cool. Why didn't we ever get this here? I don't think we ever did, because everything's in Japanese in the game and everything like that. So, but yeah, and then of course, if you play the Yakuza series or like the last one, like a Dragon, yeah, you can see your old stomping grounds. You're like, hey, that place looks familiar. All that stuff looks familiar. And of course,
I slept in that cardboard box and I pooped behind that one.
Right. I was hoping to go over there and see Ichiban in the box or something like that,
Or at least see the other gang hanging out there. But everybody else in the same place. I don't know if you hit the shops, but like the guy in the old pawn shop was there. The chick in front of Ichiban. Ichiban holding. Yeah.
That very first restaurant down in the very first restaurant you go into where you helped the mama-san or whatever it was, she was there.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. So
yeah,
overall, it's a great game. It's a great game. I would highly recommend playing it if you like the Yakuza series. This one, you don't necessarily have to play Judgment to play this. I mean, I would say you don't have to at all, unless you just want to know some of the characters and their backstories. Because, like, you go to help your friends who started their own agency. And those guys are from the first game. The first one was the young kid that's there, not the one behind the computer, but the young kid. He was like this master guy that would run the streets and stuff, and you got in brawls with him in the first game, and then you become friends. And then the other guy, the computer guy, he in the first game, you would always go to him because he was inside of basically lived inside of a cyber cafe and would just sit in the corner in his little booth and hack stuff and play video
Hacker
games.
Man, where's his power glove?
So it was kind of cool to see like a lot of the old characters. I'm like, oh, I know who that is and remember that person and stuff like that. But like I said, you don't have to play the first one. This is a whole new murder mystery and everything like that. And you'll grow to love the characters too. So, you know,
they always do a great job with the stories. It's something that really has pulled me to the Yakuza series. I did not play Judgment. Again, I was a late bloomer when it came to that stuff. So playing through 1 and 2 and stuff like that, Yakuza, those two, and then coming to something like this, it's really fun to see, you know, the story, again, it does start off a little slow, but by the end of chapter 2, you're like, oh, this is going to get interesting. You throw in a little bit of the side quest, the mystery research club and stuff like that. That kind of actually gets a little fun. And the game actually touches on some topics that are prevalent today, bullying, things like that. So it's actually very refreshing to see something like this. But of course, like always, like I think Shane was saying, they also don't take themselves too serious. The first side quest that you go off on for, I believe you call it the little side quest that you get, the research or the Buzzy research one, whatever. One of those first quests you get is the Panty Raider. So I thought about Shane instantly. I had to bust Shane pretty quickly in the game. I'll bring it back to you. It was good. I mean, it's really fun. I like the fact that you got a skateboard. I mean, that really helps getting through town pretty quickly. I mean, and you don't have to go around and find all of the taxis. I was like, the first thing I did when we got in the game, I was like, well, I'm gonna go find a bunch of taxis because I have to find them all first. And I was like, wait a second, I don't need to find them because they're already all accessible. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I haven't taken any of the taxis because they cost 500. Yeah, and I'm like, nope. I'm gonna just take my skateboard. I did see. You have to in the beginning whenever you're. But I did find out that there's a DLC for the hoverboard. So if you get the $10 DLC, you can get a hoverboard. And it's almost tempting to run around town on a hoverboard.
Marty McFly it.
Yeah, I mean it. For those that don't know, we have kind of a short turnaround because we all get to go to Geekway of the West for a board gaming convention. So we've got a quick turnaround on this game. And it's frustrating because a game like this, I would have loved. I was sucked in, so I was actually getting more game time in than I normally do. And I wish I would have had a little bit more time because this one will stay installed. This is not going anywhere for me. I will finish this game, even if it takes me some time. But because the story itself is so good and all the side quests are just fun and hilarious. And it's different than just going in and beating wave after wave of monsters. You have to do some deductive reasoning. You need to read and listen through some things so you can give the right responses. So it's fun. It's a great story.
Yeah, there's a lot, though. I will admit this one has a lot. When you go into the menus, when you first fire up the game, you're like, oh, my God, look at all these skills. And they keep adding more and more and more. And you're spending points in there. And at the beginning, it seemed very overwhelming. Like I remember when I first unlocked like the first 3 combats, the first 2, actually, I think it's Crane and Tiger. And I'm like, how am I going to know when to use these? And it goes into a little explanation, then it unlocks another one. And you're like, I got Snake. And then you're like, and it keeps doing stuff like that. And you're like, which one am I going to use? And what I've determined from my own experience is that you're going to pick a style you like, regardless of what it says, and you're going to stick with it. Because the move sets is what gets you. Because you go into, there's different move sets for each one. It's like one of them, you're just tapping a bunch of buttons. And the other one, you're more worried about like freaking Wing Chun it or whatever, where you're just like trying to stay in and dodging them and throwing them and moving. So it's kind of cool in that concept, but there's a lot. Like when you first open your phone and you're like, all right, there's only like 4 or 5 menus I can get into. And you're like, unlock another one. Unlock another one. Unlock another one. You're like, what the crap? So yeah, it does. But it takes, in my opinion, the tutorial is pretty long. It's 2 chapters long, maybe even, I can't remember. I think it is 2 chapters long before you actually get out and where it opens everything up for you to start doing like crafting and all that kind of stuff. So it's got a.
Well, you're still opening stuff in 4 for that stuff. So
wow, okay.
Yeah, you're still opening up. But you're right. 2, it opens. You get kind of like where you can go and roam around for a little bit and everything like that for sure.
Right. So yeah, I did the same thing with these guys. I spent way too much time, I didn't even realize that as soon as you clear out the UFO claw machine, you can go ask her to refill it, and she'll put more stuff in it. And I'm like, that was what I went. I went in the first one. I just cleared everything out, and I'm like, I'll come back later and see if it's filled up. And I talked to her and like, oh, she'll refill it for me. But she seems to always refill it with the same crap. So I'm like, oh, well, it's not like I got more stuff to decorate my apartment with. It's full of robots and toy crap like that.
Yeah. The one thing you can do, and I definitely haven't reached it yet, is you can play every game in here from the Sega Master System. Apparently, you can find and unlock all of them and play.
So you can play it in your apartment
games.
or your business or whatever, because you got the Sega Mega System in there.
Yep.
I'm like, ooh, look at that, some 2 players and stuff like that. But it's all like couch co-op stuff. So
yeah, that was the heartbreaking thing when I was like, oh, there's a co-op on here. All right. Then it's a mini games. I'm like, okay, well that's cool. Oh crap, couch co-op on it. Yeah, shit. But the game's fantastic. It was really much better than I was expecting, because I knew the other one I didn't get to play much of, and the other one had a darker tone. But I really enjoyed that little bit I did play. But when this started that way, but opened up a lot quicker into the Yakuza breath of fun and goofiness, it's really great. It's a really great game, and I'm just tickled pink with that. It was enjoyable.
But the only thing that got me disappointed is the fact that it seems like basketballs don't understand the laws of physics in this game. For those that don't know, for those that have not gotten, there's a certain part where you go to a gym and there's a basketball that bounces, and it only bounces like twice. And that's the only thing I can complain about this game, is that I don't know why, but it drove me crazy. It was like they were lead basketballs.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing, and I went whoosh, dink, son of a bitch. They just thumped.
Yeah, I went to see if the tiger was out in the park too. I went to go see if the tiger was out in the park. I mean, I did all that too. So
yeah, because everything all the stores have the same name, like the flower shop and the confectioner's place and all the restaurants. I'm like, all right, oh, cool. I mean, they changed the way. Obviously, the way you eat food isn't going to be the same as it was in Yakuza. But I was really hoping that I'm like, oh, okay, food does give you bonuses and stuff, but you can't eat if you're not hungry. Whereas, like when you're playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, you could just take your whole crew out and just eat from place to place to place and get all the little conversations going on. So, I mean, it's fun to see all that old stuff again. Part of me is like, oh, they rehashed the same area, but I was a little worried about it. But on all honesty, I found myself running around going, oh yeah, was this over there? I went to go see if there was a guy pissing in the stream and everything. Because in Yakuza Like a Dragon, you run into that guy pissing in the little runoff there, and I'm like, I wonder if this stuff's over there, So they kept a lot of the people in, but we'll see what some of the side quests are, because so far, I haven't opened up too many side quests. I opened up the thing where you got to go beat the resellers to get the cool stuff before they get to them. I've unlocked the dancing thing and a few other things like that are part of side missions and stuff. There's, like I said, the mini games took a lot of my time. I don't know how long I played the golf and because the golf one drove me nuts and I couldn't figure it out at first. I was like, I thought I remember you just charge it up and then try to hit it when it comes back down, but no, you got to hit so that took me a while in the baseball. And then, like I said, I spent plenty of time in the arcade throwing money in the little claw machines and then playing the different games.
That's why you can't afford a taxi ride, because you're spending all your games. I play mini games.
Well, the darts cost like $1,000, 1,000 yen per playthrough, and I played darts I don't know how many times. I'm like, twink, twink, So.
I suck at the darts so bad, man. I've got the stick, and I'm focusing every bit of my strength into that thumb to get that stick to just hover over the bullseye to hit the button. And every freaking time I would move at the last second, that dart would go everywhere. I took out 2 people with it. It was freaking annoying. I suck at darts.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's always fun. The mini games in this game are always fun, because I remember the mini games in like Grand Theft Auto. The majority of those, in my opinion, weren't that great, but they were decent. But most of the majority of the mini games in this one are fun, especially like the arcade. You go in and you're like, I played all these, but I thought the same thing when I played the one game that Nick was talking about. I'm like, oh, when did they have a sketching style game where you just beat the crap out of people, kick them off their motorcycle, and you can lose your weapon, get kicked off your motorcycle and stuff like that? I'm like, when did we have this? And I don't remember that. And I guess we didn't, according to Nick, because I was going to look for it and say, hey, I wonder if I can download that somewhere. But I played the crap out of that one too quite a few times.
Yeah, this was one game I knew we were all going to enjoy, and I'm just happy with it. And this is definitely going to stay in stock because this is one you've got to beat. You really do. Yeah, I mean, Nick was telling me what some of the things he had done because he was already ahead of me the other day, and it was like, damn, can't wait.
Right. Yep. I can't wait to get through a lot of this more of this entry stuff because I still feel stuff's locked out, so I can't wait to get in there. And everything is still too expensive for me to buy right now. I'm like, oh, I want to buy some of that. What's this do? What's that do? And I'm like, 50,000 yen. I don't got that much money.
Hey, Nick, comparatively between Judgment and Lost Judgment, is there anything that you noticed? Because I don't think the other guys or myself, I didn't get much into it. Is there anything that they really improved upon from Judgment that you've noticed, or anything else that is just like wow compared?
Not that I can think of. I mean, it's definitely a better looking game. I think maybe the controls are a little tighter. It's been a long time since I played Judgment because it came out in 2018. I bought it when it first came out, so it's been a few years. But no, I mean, it's pretty much the same type of game. I mean, they still had that stat screen with all the different stuff that you can unlock with your SP and everything like that. So a lot of that stuff is still the same, and the characters are still the same characters. Taito's still there, and he was in the first one too. I think in the first one, I think the clans. I think the clans were still together. In this one, the clans have all kind of disbanded, but I want to say the Tojo clan was still a thing, or at least it was like on its way out at that time or something like that. So,
this game is time appropriate because the Leomon is still there in a different presence, and then the Serial clan. That's what they went to from the Tojo. So they're still kind of there, but the Tojo's long gone. That's another part of the game. I mean, I feel like I'm in the right time zone, like I'm right in the right time thing with it too. So that's really nice.
And that's how good the game is. Russ has the history of these clans down from the various games. I mean, that's how much it grabbed him. So I like that.
Good progression.
I can't pronounce any of them, so
but I didn't have to buy this one, so rusted.
Well, thank God I didn't waste $60 for once. That's the biggest thing. I mean, honestly, in the last few weeks or last couple of months we've had, every game I've bought, I feel like I've wasted my money on it. And this was finally one I don't feel like I'm going to waste my money on this one because I'll beat it. Did you pick? I don't know how far y'all have gotten through it. Have y'all picked a fighting style that you prefer?
It depends.
I did. I picked Snake. I like Snake just because of the ability to disarm and throw people around and throw people into people.
Yeah, I use Snake.
I've been throwing all my SP. I threw all my SP into that outside of the base skills. I haven't put SP in any of the other any other abilities yet.
I've been changing it up. I change it up between typically between Snake and Crane. I do like Crane because it's a lot of kicking and you can hit a bunch of people at once. Especially if you have a lot of people. He does like a lot of roundhouse kicks and sweeps and stuff like that, and kind of high flying kicks and various things. So you can like knock people to the ground and knock down a whole group of them with that, with that type of stuff. And I like Snake as well. I don't typically use Tiger very often, but I usually switch between Crane and Snake.
Yeah, you're not very often just fighting one person. So Tiger's kind of worthless in that sense, unless you're going after like a boss or something. But yeah, I mean, I use Snake just because you could pretty much just sit there and for lack of a better comparison, remember the old Assassin's Creed? We're just sitting there parrying everything. I'm just sitting there parrying everybody and throwing them into each other. I'm like, come on, throw that guy over there. And so I stand in the middle of them and wait for them to swing, and I parry and grab them and throw them. And then if they got a weapon, you can disarm them when you throw them. So I really like Snake a lot, and that's where I put all my points into so far.
As you progress, you'll have a moment where you're like doing that, and then you'll like a couple of quick jabs, like as you're flipping them or as you're moving them, it'll be like you'll get abilities. Because I did the same thing, Patrick. I love Snake, and I'm staying with it. Probably it does. You do have to be careful because there are some boss fights that can be very lengthy. If you stay in Snake, but you have to be patient with it. You can't try to force it.
Yeah, a lot of the bosses you can't really grab that easily or grab in general at all. So Snake kind of comes worthless. I mean, you got the quick jabs and quick gets in and outs, but yeah, that's probably where you would probably want to swap over to Tiger if you put any points into Tiger.
No, I haven't touched Tiger. I just Crane, Snake, If there's a herd with weapons, Snake. If it's no weapons, I'll stick with Crane. It's just smoother. Crane gives you a little more power, but it also gives you a lot more a wider area of damage. And then Snake, you just
that's why you pick up a chair. Even in Snake, you can pick up a chair and hit like 5 or 6 of them, and that's what I do.
When
and
they first give you the option,
Ext abilities, those Ext abilities, those things are pretty awesome. Like being able to hit Y at the right time. He just does this, especially when you got like other people in your party. And you'll do one of those, and it's like a combo move. It's like you just tag team wrestle their ass. You throw them in the air, and the guy comes down on him, and next thing you know, you're like just doing some cool moves. It's definitely got some cool move sets with the Ext abilities.
Yeah, my favorite so far is just that nice, simple, basic, doing a little flip in the air, and you come down, and your foot's just planting another face, and all they can do is go, oh, shit. That's freaking awesome.
My favorite one is when they're scared of you and you get an Ext ability and you throw the punch, you don't hit him. The guy's like, and then you throw the kick like right next to his face and he just faints.
You even have to finish him off. It was just like the pistol pull to Mr. Miyagi on him. Honk.
Yeah, right.
But isn't
that would have been even better?
That's like this second generation that RGG Studios is kind of going through is that little bit of an extra to it. And that's what I love about it. It's hilarious. Or even like when you're not doing that and you have like the back neck, like knee grab, like backflip. I mean, it's really cool. Even though they are similar or there are a lot that are the same, there's still enough of a variation, and they're only going to get better as we go through those animations. And that's what, I mean, I enjoy it. I like it a lot.
I really want to see what this game would have looked like with just full force current gen technology only. No having to backlog stuff for PS4 and Xbox One. Because the game is just gorgeous. So I'd really like to see what it looked like just, Unreal 5. Just PS5, Xbox Series X only. I think that game could be just amazing to look at because it is really pretty.
Yeah, they had said, I know before Lost Judgment came out, there was some, and I can't remember. You'll have to just look it up, people that are listening. But there was some talk about this because of something happening with something that this might be the Last Judgment spinoff series. I think with one of the voice actors or something like that. And but I know it was talked about for a while. There was a few articles about it, and then I don't remember what came of that. So
was the voice
that's
actor?
Not true.
Maybe they'll make a bunch of money on this one. Yeah, maybe they'll make enough money on this that they won't care.
Yeah, hopefully.
They don't even have to stick with the Yakuza theme. I mean, as amazing this game series is, they could go off and do something in the same vein that doesn't have to be Yakuza. So. I just really love this game. I love a game that's fun.
I think I'd stumbled upon, I guess, Sega and Johnny Associates did not reach an agreement, so the entire series will end after Lost Judgment. That was actually as of 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's not going on. Sega hasn't officially said anything, but I guess Johnny and Associates, I don't know who the hell they even are. They couldn't reach an agreement. So
well, if this thing sells well enough, I'm sure Sega will come up to the table. I really do.
I mean, who knows why they couldn't come to an agreement? Maybe it was something Sega couldn't meet.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean,
well,
it's really weird.
I could tell you this: it met my $60 worth, and I'm damn happy for it.
I think it's worth Russ's $60.
Yeah, and it would be worth mine or anybody's $60 in my opinion. I mean, it I can't wait to see where this game goes. So I'll be excited to play this in the future.
Yep. Action RPG, great story, great characters. It's plenty worth it.
Yep. I agree. Definitely worth the price. If you like the Yakuza and you want to check out some of the other games that are like Yakuza, this is definitely a good entry to go into. So Lost Judgment's a great game. But I think that's it from us. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notifications to keep up to date with new videos that we put out. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.